ANC spokesperson. Pule Mabe says the Phala Phala saga has attracted negative sentiments for the party. President Cyril Ramaphosa is said to speak publicly later at an unannounced time. Meanwhile, the ANC is holding a special NEC tonight to discuss the Section 89 independent panel report. Erin joins us from Luthuli House, and she's standing by to speak to Pule Mabe. Crisis communication elevated. Erin Bates, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and we're in the nerve center of the governing party here today as we look forward to both that announcement from the President and also some of the outcomes of the NEC meeting. I'm joined by ANC spokesperson Mr. Pule Mabe. And Pule, just to start off with, when can we expect that NEC meeting? Why is it happening, and what do you expect to happen?
Well, it is a special National Executive Committee. It is scheduled to start at 19 hours this evening. It is happening following the release of the Section 89 report and the meeting by our national officials who deemed it urgent and necessary that the NEC should meet and reflect on that so that we could be able to develop one coherent response of the African National Congress as it relates to the report.
So we've already had some input on that. I mean, we have Cogta Minister Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma already saying the President must step aside. We've had Tony Yegeni saying he's going to ask for something similar during the NEC meeting. We're already seeing some of the views of very, very senior officials in the party. And if the President does speak before 7, and let's say he resigns, what does that mean for the discussion in the NEC?
Well, members of the NEC who spoke, of course, spoke in their individual capacity. They are not spokespersons of the ANC. The reason why you came to speak to us here at Luthuli House in our place of work is because you recognize that we are spokespersons of the ANC. Members of the National Executive Committee who are speaking in their own individual capacity. They will have an opportunity to raise and register their views in the NEC. So we don't take away their right to speak, but it does work and serve the organization better when the platform of the NEC is used to empower members of the National Executive Committee on whatever views that they may hold. The strong views they hold, no one stops members of the NEC from raising their views in the meeting. We don't come to a meeting and say, we don't discuss this, we're only discussing this. The NEC is a dynamic body, and the cohesiveness of the NEC is brought about by its ability to reflect even on the most difficult issues out there. We have already reflected on the Phala Phala issue.
But the temperature's just gone up about 30 degrees with this report, and the fact that you're having this special meeting of the NEC tonight, you know, it's 2 days after the report, not even, was released, speaks to the severity of the issue at hand here.
Of course it does. Of course it does. We have reflected ourselves in the past on how much an issue such as this affect the credibility and standing of the ANC out in the public. Because of the reports as they come out, as they get to be discussed by people in various other platforms, it is constraining on the ANC brand. You know, so it is only fair that the ANC reflects on all of this and then comes up with a position on what needs to happen.
Thank you. Will the leader of the ANC be at this briefing at 7 o'clock tonight?
It's not a briefing, it's a meeting of the National Executive Committee. Last I checked, he's still a member of President is still a member of the NEC. And when we are invited to the NEC, all of us are expected to attend. We will only know, you see, when you get to the NEC, if Pule is not present, you will only know when you get to the meeting, because Comrade Gwedemantashi, as the national chairperson of the NEC, always reads out apologies. So we'll know who's in the meeting and who's not present at the time of the meeting starting.
That's not a clear answer. So we don't know when the President is going to make his public address over the report and its recommendations. Are you saying it's not clear, one, when he will speak, and two, when he will be at the NEC?
No. I think you are looking for an answer to two different questions.
I'll take both.
No. Let's first clarify one so that your good viewers out there, don't get confused. There is an NEC meeting of the ANC, Special National Executive Committee, that is sitting. I said, last I checked, the president of the ANC is a leader and member of the National Executive Committee of the ANC. So he is expected to attend that NEC. So anyone who's not in the NEC, whether it's Pule, is the president, that will only be reported when you can only know who is in the meeting and who is not in the meeting when you are in the meeting, when the chairperson, Comrade Gwede, reads out those apologies. As it relates to the briefing or announcement expected to be made, I will not know what announcement is going to be made out there in the public.
Thank you. In terms of looking toward the elective conference where the collective will meet, this is really going to be a hot button issue for the ANC. Are you making additional plans perhaps around security or in terms of logistics for the elective conference, considering the fact that this report has now been dropped into a really contested race?
Well, why do you think that a contest in the ANC or a report in the ANC would warrant increase in security? I mean, the ANC is not a securocrat. You know, it's not like that. We're a democratic organization. We allow for people to contest each other, even on views. You know, and the superior logic always prevails in the African National Congress. If you raise your views, and if it is deemed to be superior, uniting and bringing everyone together, it will emerge and it will prevail.
Some might argue that, some might argue that the president conceding that this report is so severe and stepping down could be the most sort of unifying decision to make at this point, considering the findings and the calls within his own party. What do you say to that?
Well, there is not much that I can say to that. Safe to say that we are meeting as the National Executive Committee. It would be in that meeting where we fully express ourselves and come out with a position that we can put out there in the public through our own Treasurer General, who is responsible for the Secretary General's office. So, you see, the cohesiveness of the ANC and the message of the ANC must be understood to be one. I have said, you know, this morning I spoke to Comrade Spongile Besani from the presidency, and he was raising an issue that it is important that we are all seen to be well coordinated and all of that. And I raised an issue that it is critical that in times like this, the Department of Information and Publicity, which handles overall communications of the ANC, is seen to be upping up the machinery, like we did when there were issues of President Zuma, when there were issues involving the Secretary General Mahashule. We have done so throughout, so that we create and consolidate a notion that says there is one voice in the ANC. And this moment calls for that. We had a discussion as well with the TG in the morning, just sharpening up what has got to be placed out there. And this has been the understanding, that let's go out there, brief the public that we are going to be having an NEC meeting. At the conclusion of the NEC, we will be able to then say, this is how, or this is the message that we want to drive out there. Because, you see, when you are a communicator of the ANC, you have to divorce yourself from the issues. Because the risk is, if you don't divorce yourself from the issues, you run the risk of becoming part of the issues yourself.
I hear you. Interesting that you're in discussions with the Treasurer General this morning. Can you tell us more about what Paul Mashatile emphasized in terms of the message around the Phala Phala report from Parliament and communication to the public on this issue?
Well, it is not what Paul Mashatile, the Treasurer General, emphasizes. This whole effort that we are doing now is part of our overall approach. You know, to update yourselves, tell you that we'll be having an NEC, make you aware that in the NEC, these issues will be discussed. Upon conclusion of the NEC, we will come back to you and communicate a decision of the National Executive Committee.
Thank you.
So really, that must be the understanding. And if there are things that you think or feel strongly about, don't go around looking for individual NEC members. No. You have got the communications office of the ANC. You have got the accessible spokesperson of the ANC. Come through us and we'll be able to give you the information.
Mr. Pule Mabe, thank you so much for your time. Live here from Luthuli House, as I say, the nerve center of the governing party. Of course, we hotly and eagerly await that address from the President. And then 7 o'clock we hear will be the meeting of the NEC tonight, specifically on that report from the Section 89 independent panel.
Absolutely. Erin Bates, for now we say thank you. Do stay